What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the WWE SmackDown live post show. Hopefully, you guys are all having a wonderful night. I am live simulcasting on X as well as YouTube. So I'm going to read your tweets. I'm going to get the comments out there. If you guys want your comments or questions guaranteed to be read, then feel free to drop a super chat as always. Just another stellar episode of SmackDown, to be honest with you. WWE is continuing to keep the streak alive. Just fantastic shows overall. Very excited about some of the stuff that we're going to talk about tonight. So if you guys are joining me tonight live, whether it's on X, formerly known as Twitter, or YouTube, just know that I greatly appreciate you spending your Friday night with me, because tonight's episode of SmackDown, there was a lot, and there will be a lot of stuff that we need to discuss. So I'm glad that we could talk about it. I'm glad there is a community that we're building. Just a couple quick reminders. If you guys aren't in the Discord, check out the Discord. It's completely free. Of course, YouTube members are, they do have the ability to join the VIP. So keep that in mind if you guys are a member. And maybe you're not taking advantage of that perk, then feel free to let me know, and I will get you in the VIP section. But the reason why I want to talk about SmackDown tonight in particular, not only was it a good episode, ladies and gentlemen, but SmackDown continues the storytelling. So many different stories, so many different layers. And I genuinely speaking, like, I'm just being so honest here. I cannot imagine, like, I cannot tell you, like, I definitely did not think WWE would be this good under the Triple H regime. You know, like it definitely feels like this company is just firing on all cylinders. And it's really dope to see that, like, WWE today, especially SmackDown, like the way it's ending, it just, everything feels like a big deal. It does. Everything on television seems like a big deal. And I swear, man, that is so satisfying, because it's like we see this ending, for example, when you look at the when you look at like the Bloodline and Cody Rhodes having this face off, for example, just a phenomenal segment. They're delivering great promos. Roman Reigns is cocky as hell. He's a piece of shit. He's a dickhead, right? But he's a heel. And it makes sense because Cody is the babyface. And, like, I just love the fact that in this segment at the end, Roman Reigns snaps his finger. And when he snaps his finger, of course, the Bloodline are there. But then Cody Rhodes smiles, and next thing you know, you got Seth Rollins and Jey Uso in the crowd as well, coming to his aid. Nobody gets physical here. They're saving that probably for the go-home show, I'm guessing. But it's just another element of just really good storytelling, and just, like, really cool to see that that, like, baby faces used to be pretty fucking dumb in WWE, you know? And WWE is doing a phenomenal job with not only Bianca Belair, but Cody here. Like, these are two examples tonight where I'm seeing firsthand, I'm seeing that baby faces are cognizant of the history. They understand the history of what these heels have done, and they don't forget these things. And, Cody not being outsmarted by Roman Reigns, that's really dope, in my opinion. I'm very happy to see that Cody Rhodes was smart enough to not trust Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman. You know what I mean? Because back in the day, baby faces were dumb as fuck. And, here's the reality. The reality is that for so long, when baby faces look stupid, it doesn't really give them any sort of credibility. When a baby face gets jumped because they're not smart, like, they just look dumb, So Cody having backup is really dope. I thought that was really cool. And just the visual in general with Jey Uso and Seth and everybody, I was really, really impressed by that. And I thought that was really cool. So just in general, I was like, I was just really a big fan of this main event segment. And I definitely want to talk more about it. And so I'll keep reading your guys' questions and all that good stuff. Phil Batway dropped a super chat. He didn't leave a comment with it, though. But Phil, I do appreciate you dropping a $1.99 super chat. $1.99, yeah. So appreciate that. Thank you. If you want to, if you drop something in the chat, I will try my best to find it and read it. Sometimes the chat goes extremely fast, especially when you're simulcasting. But definitely appreciate it. Thank you. And yeah, guys, can you help me hit 100 likes, maybe 200 likes? I don't know. We got a couple hundred viewers across both platforms, so I appreciate you all. If you could share this, even better. But shout out to Phil. Shout out to Humble as well, back in the chat. Appreciate you, Humble85. She also says, I am tired of baby faces looking stupid. Bobby says, Ango, could we see the beginnings of a Bianca heel turn? No. What you're seeing is Bianca just acknowledging the history of Bayley being a heel. Just because Bayley is now is a babyface, it doesn't mean that they are going to forget what she did as a heel. And again, this is just one of those really cool things about WWE programming today. You know, again, it's insulting your audience when baby faces aren't prepared, right? So imagine Cody Rhodes didn't come with Jey Uso or Seth Rollins. He would have got jumped, right? So in the past, he would have not come around. He would have got jumped, and we would have just been like, wow, he's an idiot. Nobody likes Cody, right? Even though we know deep down Cody has friends backstage. So Cody ends up getting this segment over in a big way. But so does Bianca Belair, because Bianca Belair, you know, by the way, I swear I wish I could show you guys the footage. It's so tough to do this because of copyright, but I did retweet it. There was a segment where WWE camera was facing a MLB title belt, and Cody Rhodes was backstage signing them. And then you have Naomi and Bianca Belair arguing backstage, basically because Naomi needs Bianca. Really, really cool storytelling layers to that. But just the production aspect of it was really cool. Phil, I see your comment. See, luckily I found this. So Phil did drop a super chat for $1.99. He says, sorry, dude, meant to put something about this. AJ and LA Knight getting better each week. Definitely want to talk about this because LA Knight did get arrested tonight, which I thought is really dope. But again, just a lot of layers, a lot of different moving pieces to the storytelling that is happening currently. And I just enjoy that immensely. Just like layers on layers and layers. Really cool to see that. And me personally, man, like when it comes to WWE doing this, like when WWE does this thing, right, where you add these layers and you add these small elements, for me, it's enough to keep me interested and to keep things going. So definitely appreciate that aspect of things. Thank you, Phil, again for your super chat. We did get a tweet. Sam, what's up, Sam? He says, will Jade help Bianca next week on SmackDown? So this is the reason why I want to talk about the Bianca thing, right? So Bianca's a babyface, right? She's acknowledging the history of Bayley being a heel. Now tonight, Io Sky versus Naomi. And of course, Damage Control get involved. Now, two things I loved about this, if you missed it. Io Sky makes her entrance, but Damage Control's already out there waiting for her. While she's going to the ring, she just decides to beat Bayley's ass. That was fire, right? It's like a little cool element to it. But then what was even funnier in this particular situation is Io Sky then comes to the ring. She has her match with Naomi. Obviously, later on, Damage Control get involved, and there's the post-match beatdown. Naomi gets misted by Asuka. And then you have this whole moment go down where Bianca Belair, as a babyface, makes the save. Now, clearly, Bayley was not going to be able to come down because she got her ass beat before this goes down, right? Now, immediately after this segment, WWE decides to air. They decide to air the Jade Cargill video package. And Jade Cargill officially announces that she is signed to SmackDown. So that's pretty dope too, because now they're making Jade Cargill look like a big deal. We're going to talk about video packages and why they're important, but tonight it continues the trend of more video packages. So I thought that was really cool. I thought Io and Naomi was a fantastic match. Naomi losing is not a big deal. But Jade Cargill gets this video package and she's showing up to SmackDown next week. Is it a coincidence at all that Jade Cargill's video package immediately came after this? No. I think WWE wants to have all of its top stories on at WrestleMania. So let's give WWE credit here if they do this. Where do you put Bianca Belair on the card? How do you get Naomi on WrestleMania? How do you get all of these women on WrestleMania? There's so many different stories. There's so many different matches. How do you pick one, right? Well, this time it's really cool. You have a multi-women, 6-women tag match. Damage Control, Dakota Kai, Kairi Sane, and Asuka versus Bianca Belair, Naomi, Oh, and they're going to need somebody else to help them out. Jade Cargill is officially on SmackDown. Jade Cargill will have a match at WrestleMania. And there won't be a lot of pressure for Jade Cargill at WrestleMania because Jade Cargill will be in the ring with Naomi and Bianca. Guys, this is such a star-studded match, and it would allow all of these women to get on the card. So if Jade Cargill's on SmackDown and she joins Bayley and Bianca, Naomi and Bianca, it's a really dope moment for the sense of storytelling, right? And it's a really dope moment for Jade Cargill, who would be on WrestleMania and have a massive, massive match. So me personally, I'm a big fan of that. You know what I mean? Like I'm a big fan of getting people on the show. I want to read this comment because Tony actually says something interesting here. Nick Aldis is GM of the year. Well, in kayfabe, he is. I mean, look at how they okay, kayfabe, right? Storytelling wise, Nick Aldis is securing all of the major free agents for SmackDown. And that's huge. You know what I mean? So Jade Cargill coming to SmackDown and all of these people, Randy Orton's on SmackDown. Like Nick Aldis is the one securing big deals. He's got a lot of things going for himself, way better than Adam Pearce. Way better than Adam Pearce. Beautiful the way that they're telling these stories. The women's division is better than Raw's. And I think you got to, the draft will change things up. But when you look at the level of free agents that SmackDown is securing, when you're looking at the tag team division and the stories on SmackDown, Nick Aldis and SmackDown is a 2-hour show, but they're getting in a lot of stuff on there. And I appreciate that. But it goes back to what I was saying about the logic of Bianca, right? Bianca is somebody who is not turning heel, but Bianca is somebody who is acknowledging the past of Bayley. Bayley is seeing firsthand how her actions before just really screwed things over. And I don't know if we'll ever get right now, I don't think we'll get Bianca, giving her respect to Bayley, but I do think it would be really cool before WrestleMania if Bayley's getting her ass beat. Honestly, I think this would be huge. Bayley's getting her ass beat by all of Damage Control. Naomi, Jade, Bianca, they all come out to help Bayley on the Go Home show. And then what's actually really dope about that is Bianca and Bayley hugging or, kind of like accepting her apology or forgiveness, right? That will equal a very, very cool moment. It will make for a very cool pop. And I do love that. I love that idea. And I think it could be really significant. And just in general, it's like one thing too that a lot of people might forget, which I think we should acknowledge here, is the fact that even while there was another segment backstage where later on the show, Naomi and Bianca are backstage with the trainers trying to clean her face from the poison mist, right? Tiffany Stratton's not wrestling tonight. Tiffany Stratton isn't here on the show wrestling or having like this major segment or this major promo. But you got to keep Tiffany Stratton in the loop, right? You have to. So what does Tiffany Stratton do? She comes out there and she says something along the lines of Naomi looking better with the poison mist or something. Just like a really, funny little comment that she makes. She's a heel. She's supposed to do this. By the way, that is called a soft introduction. Tiffany Stratton was at Elimination Chamber and people were like, oh, well, what are they doing with her? What are they doing with Naomi? Guys, it's the little things. This is television. That's weekly. As long as WWE keeps them on television in some capacity, that's what matters. Like, I think it's such an important thing to wrestling, weekly wrestling television. It doesn't matter the company, WWE, AEW, TNA, whatever. Like, whatever stories you're telling, whatever characters you're introducing, bro, you got to put them on TV every single week. Every single week. It's huge. And it doesn't have to be these big time matches. It doesn't have to be these big time segments. It doesn't have to be anything like that. All you got to do is just understand that if you put people on TV every single week in some capacity, the next time they do have a high profile feud, the crowd will be more acclimated to them. And I think this is significantly why WWE has just completely transitioned as a company, right? Cody Rhodes is the biggest babyface in the company, and he's sitting there signing autographs, and he's in the background while Naomi and Bianca are talking and like kind of arguing and going back and forth. The biggest babyface is taking a step back in the background for something that is a bigger deal. These are the little things that matter. Tiffany Stratton making that comment keeps Tiffany Stratton in the loop. I think it is super awesome that WWE is doing stuff like this. And like I said, if Jade Cargill, I don't think it's a coincidence with the Jade Cargill video package. If Jade Cargill is on WWE SmackDown next week, like they announced, I fully expect Damage Control to get their ass handed to them by Jade Cargill. And then again, WWE puts Jade, Naomi, and Bianca on a very high profile match. It's just a really cool moment. And it allows Dakota Kai to be wrestling at WrestleMania, and it allows Asuka and Kari to be wrestling at WrestleMania, but it also allows, all three baby faces to be at WrestleMania. And I just like that. I love the idea of getting people on the card. And WWE did some other stuff tonight that we'll talk about that I think is really cool to make WrestleMania feel important. Phil also says, do you think they give Tiffany Stratton in that match if Asuka is injured? If Asuka is in fact injured, yes. I don't think Asuka is injured based on what we saw tonight. Obviously, everything they did was relatively light, but in the event that Asuka cannot wrestle at WrestleMania, yeah, it's easy and it's logical, right? It can make a lot of sense for them to make that happen. So I think that's a really cool way of going about it. And again, this is why the little details matter in pro wrestling, because anything could happen. So when you have, it's like a multiverse of things, right? Like all of these stories, all of these things are kind of like, they're kind of going into each other's lanes and they're kind of crossing paths, So if something does go wrong or if injuries happen, God forbid, like the cool thing is like there is ways to work around stuff. And I just love it. I love what they're doing right now. I'm like genuinely shocked with how consistent they've been this year. This year specifically has been very, very consistent. And just like as somebody who streams and puts out content, it's pretty nice because I love wrestling and I enjoy wrestling. But when this stuff feels like a job, it kind of becomes an annoyance, right? I don't want to do something just because I have to. And I try not to do that. So I feel like that's like a really cool aspect of things. When I watch WWE or even AEW this year, it just like everything seems to be so damn good. You don't really expect it. Yeah, definitely. Speaking of video packages, guys, Braun Breaker got a sports science video package, which is like a whole bunch of science based on like what he's doing with genetically, right? Like he's 6 foot this and he's 20 something years old and he's this and he's that. Just like a really, really cool thing. Back in the day, on FS1 or ESPN or maybe both, there was like a sports science segment or a show that they had, and it just kind of reminded me of that. Yeah, that was really dope. I love the video packages, and again, video packages are such a huge thing. One of my friends too, just kind of want to throw this out there. One of my friends I was talking to, and I've talked about this before, but like, we're definitely going to talk about Rey Mysterio and Dominic and stuff like that too. So we'll get to that, but it kind of ties into that. Like Santos Escobar has been on TV. He beats Rey Mysterio tonight. You hear this like video package before the match. People are starting to really enjoy the character work of the people on TV because of those 20, 30-second video packages. So when Jade gets a really dope video package, when Braun Breaker gets a really dope video package, when Santos Escobar gets a really dope video package, people are starting to cling on to these characters and enjoy those characters. And that was something that my friend told me very specifically. He's like, dude, he's like, this Santos Escobar is really cool. He's like, I've been watching a little bit to see what he's been doing, but he's like, this guy just oozes charisma. Like he's just like really cool. You know what I mean? I love that. That's why I say video packages are key, right? It's not like we need to know who Jade Cargill is. It's not like we need to know who Santos Escobar is. We don't need, we're not dumb, right? We don't need to Google things. Like common sense kind of tells you who these people are. But it's cool that WWE puts these video packages out there in a way where you can watch the show. And as you're watching the show, you can see firsthand exactly what it's like when somebody's on TV, when they win, when they lose, why it matters to them or why it matters to the story. So everything not only has a purpose, but then everything has a little bit of a meaning to the point where like it justifies why somebody loses or why somebody wins. And I thought that was really cool. So yeah, Braun Breaker had a very dope video package. He's going to be a major player in SmackDown. And it's funny because for years, if you guys saw me talk about NXT 2.0, it's like, hey, Carmelo Hayes, Braun Breaker, Tony D'Angelo. Like, there's a lot of guys who are going to be on the main roster. And my biggest concern was, hey, how are they going to transition? Carmelo had a couple matches on SmackDown, and Braun Breaker now being featured, and Tiffany Stratton. It's like, that's no longer a concern to me. There definitely appears to be some sort of synergy there between NXT and the main roster, which I feel like was desperately needed. So I'm just really glad that's actually like a thing, because for a long time that wasn't necessarily the case. For a very long time, it was a major concern. So definitely want to bring that up. Let's see. Let's see. Just a quick reminder, because there's a lot of stuff coming in on the chat, whether it's from X or YouTube. Super chats guarantee that your questions get read, guys. So it's not that I'm trying to ignore you or something like that, but it's too hard to follow along with the chat and do all of these different things. So yeah, please just understand, super chats automatically pop up, and I will read those. You don't have to drop them if you don't want to, but what you could do is at least very much like the stream or retweet the stream on X, because that's definitely appreciated. But sharing is caring, baby. All right. With that being said, let's talk about Dominic Mysterio, because Dominic Mysterio was in fact involved tonight on SmackDown. For me personally, as a wrestling fan and as a commentator or whatever here online, my big thing is like, hey, how can we get the most amount of people on WrestleMania? It's such a hard decision, right? It's such a hard choice when you look at SmackDown and Raw, and you have so many different stories. I've never seen WWE have this many stories or this many important stories. Dominic Mysterio cost Rey Mysterio the match against Santos. And it was so funny because I seen a lot of content creators, and good golly gosh, they make me laugh sometimes. I seen a lot of content creators sit here and say, Santos and Rey are having a match 2 weeks before WrestleMania. That is so annoying. Why would they do such a thing? Right? Like, that's such bullshit. And the reality is that when you really think about it, they just gave Santos Escobar a win over the legendary Hall of Famer Rey Mysterio. And of course, he's a heel, so he shouldn't have to win clean. Like, we're not dumb. He can cheat to win, right? But he wins because Dominic Mysterio comes out with the Rey Mysterio mask, distracts Rey Mysterio, and then that's how Santos wins. Well, how about this? Dragon Lee, a phenomenal performer. Phenomenal performer. And people say, man, how can they get him at WrestleMania? Well, guys, WWE just did it right here. WWE, like, I think right now, tonight, what I saw is going to allow us to get this massive match for WrestleMania. I would have Zelina Vega involved. I would have Zelina Vega involved. I would have Elektra Lopez. I would have Cruz del Toro. I would have Joaquin Wilde. I would have Carlito involved. I would have Rey Mysterio involved. Dominic Mysterio involved. Right? Oh, and Dragon Lee could help out the baby faces. Hey, guys, remember when Andrade kept coming around on Raw to Judgment Day? Remember that? And I said on Raw, like, what is happening here? Why is Andrade and Dom, like, what's going on there? Is it possible that Andrade is going to turn heel and go against Rey Mysterio? Now you put Andrade into the WrestleMania match? That's how you got, like, bro, it could be like a 10-man match. It doesn't matter. And it's WrestleMania. Bad Bunny doesn't have to wrestle, but you could do this massive tag match, and Bad Bunny could get involved with the baby faces. And that's how the baby faces beat the heels at WrestleMania. You know what I'm saying? You could kind of create that magic from Backlash, but even better. So this way, not only do you get Dragon Lee involved, but you get Elektra Lopez, who would now have her first WrestleMania. Dominic Mysterio's involved. Okay. And people are like, well, why would Dominic Mysterio be involved? Ladies and gentlemen, it's better than Dom versus Rey back to back, right? But WrestleMania 41, what about Dom versus Rey, hair versus career? Right? Now, the thing is, this doesn't work. This doesn't work if you don't have long-term storytelling. So the fact that Dominic and Rey have had this feud and it's not constantly on TV, but we had it on TV, the fact that you're revisiting the past, it tells me that it's far more valuable than anything else because it actually means something. it actually means something because it meant something before. And instead of allowing it to get stale, they just revisit it. This is genius. So I don't know what WWE is going to do here, but you got to have Rey Mysterio and Dominic at WrestleMania. I would love to see like a 12-man tag match. I really do. The Legado del Fantasma versus the baby faces. You know, you could do. Let me think of how this would work with Dom. So it would be Santos. You would have Santos, Legado del Fantasma, that's 3, plus Elektra, that's 4. Dominic Mysterio would be 5. Number 6 would be Andrade because clearly he's got something cooking with Dominic on Raw. They get Andrade and Dom on Raw, so that's 6. Then you have Rey Mysterio. Oh, I'm sorry. I lied. I got mixed up. Okay, hold on. Santos, Angel Garza, and Berto Carrillo, right? Elektra, Dominic, Andrade versus Rey, Del Toro Cruz, Joaquin Wilde, Zelina Vega, Dragon Lee, and they need one more, right? They need one more. Did I say Carlito? That's 6. 6v6, 12-man match, mixed match, because there would also be Zelina and Elektra. I might have just got completely twisted off my words. But yeah, it makes a lot of sense. You just got 12 people into this match. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a very insane match. But this is how you get a lot of people on. This is how you get a lot of people on the card. So Carlito being there is allowed to be in WrestleMania. Like they're all allowed and being able to get on WrestleMania because of this massive feud. And if you have the baby faces win, I mean, it's even better. You see what I'm saying? So Carlito, Rey, Cruz, Wild, Zelina. Crazy, man. Definitely crazy. Definitely crazy. Lot of potential there. Denisha, $1.99 super chat. Ango, can I help mod? I hope I can mod. Yes. I'm sorry, we will talk about that. We just didn't talk about it yet, but yeah, we'll work on that. Thank you, Denisha, for the super chat. I appreciate you. But yeah, I mean, you could do like a really dope multi-person match at WrestleMania. It gets everybody on the card, very significant, and also just another example of why this is so. Just another example of why this is important. Tonight we saw the tag team match with AOP versus Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. And I tweeted this out too. But AOP got pinned by a roll-up, right? AOP getting pinned is perfect. Street Profits will verse Theory versus Waller next week. So Street Profits, I'm sorry. Backtrack. Okay. It was Street Profits versus AOP. My apologies. Street Profits get the roll up on AOP. Grayson Waller earlier in the night against the OC. We'll talk about the OC in a second too, because there's some controversy I have to say about that. But basically, Street Profits end up beating AOP. Theory and Waller happens next week. Theory, Waller versus Street Profits happen next week. In my opinion, Authors of Pain will ruin it for Street Profits because the feud is not done, right? We never got closure. So Waller and Theory will advance to WrestleMania. Okay? They're going to be in the tag ladder match, okay? AOP is going to ruin it for Street Profits. It's going to become official for WrestleMania. Bobby Lashley, B-Fab, and, of course, the Street Profits versus AOP, Karrion Kross, and Scarlett at WrestleMania 40. It could be on the pre-show. It doesn't matter as long as it happens at WrestleMania. Just really dope, in my opinion. Really, really dope. That I think that's the way it's going to go. I think it's very logical. But I love the tag team tournament that they've done on SmackDown and Raw. It makes the ladder match just feel so much better and so much cooler. And just like, I'm super excited about that, obviously. But I think it's like really, really dope that we've kind of gotten to this point within WWE where all of these matches, like I normally hate long WrestleMania cards, but all of these matches that we're talking about on stream, guys, these are matches that have a lot of depth to the stories, and they don't involve championship belts, you know? So I really love that. I love that fact. I love the fact that we have gotten to a point where it's like truly significant now, where like Karrion Kross is part of a major storyline. And dude, you got to do like a stadium stampede type of thing, man. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it at WrestleMania, but this has got to be one of those gimmick matches. And then Theory and Waller being on the tag title ladder match will be cool. They advance. Street Profits don't need to be there. What's actually really crazy is I think Montez Ford eventually breaks off from this group and goes solo. Karrion Kross, every person he versus, he changes them. You know, look at his history with Drew and Ray and everybody. He changes everybody he versus. I think Karrion Kross will be the reason why Dawkins and Montez Ford do not last as a tag team. So I'm super geeked about it. This match needs to happen at WrestleMania. 4-on-4 tag match. Just let them go off, bro. Philly street fight. I don't know. It's an interesting concept because Phil just dropped another super chat for $1.99. He says Styles versus LA Knight, Philly street fight. So, I mean, dude, all of these matches could have a stipulation, right? Like that's the most insane aspect of it all is every single one of these matches could have some sort of stipulation. But this one in particular should have one. You know, I think if you do a Philly street fight with these two groups, it's chaos. Chaos for sure. And it's so funny because like WWE, I don't know how you do a stadium stampede when that's an AEW thing, but if you could do something similar, no holds barred, falls count anywhere, dude, this will put Karrion Kross over to the next level. The Street Profits losing, I mean, it just allows for some really cool storytelling after. It really does. It changes the game because then you could have Montez Ford split off. And I think from there, it goes off into just layers and layers and layers. And it allows Karrion Kross to have a major, major win. And there's more to come for Bobby's faction. So I loved the tag team match tonight. I did not like the OC tag team match. Well, I liked the match. I didn't like the result. I'm going to talk about that in a second. But Phil, thank you for the super chat. We got a $9.99 super chat from Dario Valenzuela. Appreciate that. Ango, you rock, dude. Thank you. Do you think there will be a duo of Mercedes Moné and Garcia because of similar dance moves? I know it's silly. Take care. Oh, you're talking about Mercedes Moné and Daniel Garcia. You know, it has nothing to do with SmackDown, but I will answer this because you did donate. I don't think they will be a duo, but I think what's really cool in wrestling is when baby faces, you know, they just kind of interact. And you know, earlier tonight on this post show, we were talking about WWE being a multiverse of things, right? It's like this open universe where characters and people are interacting backstage. I think that's great for wrestling in general to have that open world feel. And I think, I don't know. I feel like in a way, it would be cool if AEW implemented that for sure. Which, by the way, I didn't get to talk about Mercedes this past Wednesday because I was not available. But I did want to say, just random comment, but Mercedes she's killing it in AEW. There's a lot that I like about that. There's a lot of things they can do there. Some stuff that they're teasing, even with Willow. Just really cool. Fascinating stuff. So I'm excited to see what happens. Dario, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. Billy, that kid says, keeps me wanting more. TikTok, beautiful storytelling. These are all in response to the stuff that I'm talking about with the storytelling and Karrion Kross. You know, I just feel like it's really cool that we've gotten to a point in wrestling, just in general with WWE. I feel like with a lot of these stories being so strong without the championships being involved, it allows for matches like wins and losses don't necessarily matter anymore. I know I say that pretty often, but it's gotten to the point where the stories are bigger and better in almost every single way. So I'm just kind of glad that like Karrion Kross could technically lose this tag team match, but there's layers and depth to it following a loss. Which I like. I personally like that. I know a lot of people may not like that, but me personally, I do like that. I think that's a good thing. And that's something I do want to continuously see happen in WWE programming because it's just been a lot better since that's happened, you know? let's see what else. There was so the OC thing. I want to talk about LA Knight. We're going to talk about that in a minute as well. But LA Knight and AJ Styles. LA Knight got arrested tonight. And well, the way it was really dope. So AJ Styles was doing some content for WWE, and basically they show AJ Styles at his house from last night. AJ Styles is trying to film the content with the social team. And then essentially what ends up happening is he keeps hearing a car beeping. It's LA Knight outside. They just start to brawl. And I just thought it was like really, really cool, man. I feel like it was really cool. I feel like it was really cool to see them fighting and then the cops getting involved. And then like they got the body cam footage. LA Knight ends up getting arrested. Turns out AJ Styles is not pressing charges. So it kind of goes back to that super chat that Phil had earlier, Philly street fight. But this match has to have a stipulation of some sort. At this point, when there's a home invasion, you just got to let them do it. Now, personally speaking, like me personally, like this is something I like. I understand not a lot of people like it, but we saw it in AEW recently with Hangman and Swerve. They're cheesy, right? These are cheesy segments when somebody gets arrested, right? Dominic Mysterio getting arrested last year. They're cheesy. They're corny, but I love it. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody, but for me personally, I think it's really dope. I love the idea of wrestling having these types of stories or these types of moments because, for one, LA Knight kind of, floating around, right? He doesn't necessarily have he's still over, but he's not competing for the world championship. He didn't beat Roman Reigns. Like, how do you keep him doing something important, right? Like, that's a big question that a lot of people have. Now you have him doing the home invasion storyline. He's still over. Yeah, LA Knight's in a pretty big story without it necessarily requiring a title or a tag team breaking up or something like that. I think, in my personal opinion, I think LA Knight versus, it goes back to what Phil said. But I think having them do some sort of no holds barred, no DQ, whatever, just let him go off at WrestleMania, man. Like, let LA Knight show his character work, but let AJ Styles go out there as well and just like let them go crazy. Let them go crazy. And if you want, man, you could do something with AJ Styles and the OC getting involved too. And that's kind of like the perfect segue. The OC tonight on SmackDown had a tag team qualifying match against Theory and Waller. And just a freaking awesome match. Really awesome. Like, really awesome. And there's tons of moments for Carl Anderson where he's just got the crowd going. It's like, I'm watching this match and I was like, this is the OC that I want to see on TV, man. I want to see them on TV. And then as I'm watching this, truth be told, guys, I kind of felt like as soon as I saw Grayson Waller and Theory cheat to win, I was a little bummed. Now, keep in mind, the OC are involved in the NXT tag titles right now. But I look at the OC as a team that is so good. And maybe people don't agree with me. Maybe the management doesn't agree with me. I don't know. But I see this awesome stuff that AJ's doing with his career. He's the lone wolf. You got Mia Yim floating around with the OC. I want them to be together, man, as a heel group. Look at all these dope-ass factions on television. To me, it just kind of was a bummer, to be honest, to see them lose. It's logical in how they lost, and this is just more of a preferential thing. But I would love for the OC to be involved in a bigger capacity. And like I said, I know they're doing stuff at NXT. Maybe we get them doing stuff with Tama Tonga when he comes in. I don't know. I genuinely don't know what to expect. But at the same time, too, I just feel like we have to get to the point where the OC are doing something meaningful. I love Mia Yim being with them. But imagine if Mia Yim and the OC were really starting to run things. And then because of that, Mia Yim gets pushed in the women's division. She doesn't have to eat losses and pins, That's how I look at it. That's how I personally look at it. Just really huge in my opinion. I did want to read this super chat. CD dropping their 5th ever super chat on our live stream. So shout out to CD for coming back. Reminds me a little bit of Austin going to Brian Pillman's house. Loved it. And this is in regards to the LA Knight and AJ Styles thing. What's really cool, man, is that, like I said, for some people, they just don't like it. For me personally, I do. I find these moments when they do the house invasion storylines, like, and they're cheesy, right? Like they are. We know they're cheesy, but I just think it's fun and it's like harmless. And in fact, when you look at Brian Pillman and Steve Austin, and then you see, the Randy Orton and Triple H, right? And then you see Hangman and Swerve, like you see these house invasion angles that they do every so often. Like people are always going to compare them to Austin and Pillman, right? Like I think that's pretty obvious, but I think they're all kind of different in certain ways. Like I like the idea, personally speaking, I like the idea of AJ filming social media content and LA Knight kind of being loud and obnoxious with the horn. And like they're just wrestling on the front yard, and it's like, it's stupid and it's corny, but it adds another layer to the feud that just makes it feel a little bit more important. And I like stuff like that. I understand why it's not everybody's taste. I understand that, but these types of things are great in my opinion. And of course, they've done it with Seth Rollins and was it Seth Rollins and Edge, if I remember correctly? That was a couple years ago, 2 years ago, maybe. I'm trying to think. They've done it a couple times here and there, though, and just in general, I like it. So those are the types of stories and the angles that I think you can't do them too often, but you do them once in a while. It makes sense. I also want to say too, with the Pillman and Austin thing, we'll never see anything like that again. We'll never see it again, bro. We'll never see it again. You'll never see something like that again for a million reasons. But if it ever happens the way that they did it before, I would be shocked. Just society and the media and everything like that. It's just I don't think that's going to be the case, to be honest. So I'm just kind of throwing that out there. I'm just being honest. I'm being real. I would be shocked, but they don't want to get canceled, or they don't want to be in the news or topic, the controversies. That's the big thing for WWE and AEW is like you kind of had to be careful, kind of how far you push the limits. So definitely keep that in mind. Don't expect that, but we'll keep it moving. CD, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate everybody watching on X as well, guys. If you're in the chat on X, let me know. I want to pull up some of those. If you guys aren't following me on X, follow me at Ango PW. Let me see. I want to start using X more for live stuff, so definitely feel free to. I'm doing it for both. Obviously, I'm simulcasting. Love what I'm seeing. I don't know if, unfortunately, X doesn't have super chats, so I can't really read your guys' super chats or anything. Only on YouTube or Ango.live, I guess, technically speaking. But I'm trying to look back and forth. It just requires me to open up a separate window. What else? Yeah, I mean, look, overall, SmackDown was good. I think a lot of people, maybe they'll say it's predictable, but nothing's wrong with predictable. I think wrestling fans need to stop with that predictable is bad thing. We've talked about that so many times, but what? Oh shit! I was just watching a video from SmackDown. That was funny. Oh yeah, Kevin Owens, guys, we got to talk about that too, right? Kevin Owens and Randy Orton, right? Just really funny, like backstage promo. I don't know why this was making me laugh too, but they had this little segment where Kevin Owens was talking to Nick Aldis backstage. I almost forgot about this. They're talking backstage, and then essentially what happens is Pretty Deadly's there, right? Kevin Owens is talking about, last time I was in this arena, we did this. I knocked out two guys at once. Pretty Deadly's being annoying, so he challenges them to a 2-on-2 tag match. Basically, he then sees Randy Orton. Randy Orton scares one of the Pretty Deadly boys. They're going to tag team. They're going to tag team next week 2-on-2. But Kevin Owens is going to he ends up knocking out both of them. And I thought that was funny. Again, just like a small little segment. Kevin Owens and Randy Orton didn't need to wrestle tonight, right? But again, it's what I was talking about. It's like still being involved, even if it's a small segment, it keeps the stories progressing. Keep in mind Kevin Owens and AJ Styles, and LA Knight and Logan Paul and Grayson Waller and Braun Breaker, and like there's a lot of people that aren't holding a championship right now. Well, Logan Paul is holding the US title, but there's a lot of people that aren't holding a championship right now. And the fact is, because they're not holding a championship right now, it's important to get them on TV and doing something meaningful. So when I see Kevin Owens and Randy Orton tag team, right? They're going to tag team next week. Logan Paul wasn't on TV tonight. This little segment reminds us, hey, Kevin Owens and Randy Orton will be enemies on WrestleMania. But today they could be cool with each other. And next week they're going to have to tag team with each other. Just another way to keep things going. I definitely appreciate that. And I'm actually pretty geeked about that. David Decker. Yeah, actually, I did want to talk about this too. The rumor going around is Midcard Championship might be happening after WrestleMania. I've heard rumors that it could be a big surprise for what was it? What's the pay-per-view after WrestleMania? Backlash in France, I think. That was something I heard. I don't know how soon WWE will do it. But if WWE does a mid-card championship for the women, I mean, if you guys follow my channel, I've been talking about that for an incredibly long time. So I appreciate them if they do that, because I just think it would be a lot better for WWE to do that. Yeah, just in general, like I think the mid-card championship for women is huge, man, because there's a lot of women doing stuff. And I know people will complain about too many titles, but there's nothing wrong with having too many titles if they're all booked well. I mean, even WWE, like I think this is the problem, right? I think people don't understand what booking actually means. Like people will be like, oh, this, the women's tag team division is being booked poorly, right? And I talked about this on the Raw show a little bit, but like if you say the women's tag team division is being booked poorly, why? Tell me why. Because they're booking them on TV, right? And it's like I think people just need to find something to be negative about. It's like when I see all these women on AEW television right now, like, yeah, I don't think women tag belts are necessary, but AEW should do them in some capacity. At some point, in some capacity, they should be building a women's tag division. Why? It gets more people on television. So if you could get more people on television and put them in feuds, that's great. So I think people will be like, oh, their booking is bad. But if you just simply don't like somebody, you're going to simply say that booking is bad. And I think that's the biggest problem with wrestling fans. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's bad. And just because you like it doesn't mean it is good, right? What's good or bad is subjective. But ultimately saying that booking is bad when something is being booked, just admit that you don't like the fucking person that you're talking about. Like a lot of people have a problem with WWE doing the women's tag titles. And my focal point would be, hey, why don't you try to move the women's tag division like you've been doing Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, but utilize NXT a little bit more so that way when you do introduce mid-card belts, you don't have that issue with oversaturating the TV. You know what I mean? So I am in a huge favor of women mid-card belts. I have no problem with that. I think they should do that. It gives people like Tiffany Stratton and Mia Yim and Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae, it gives them a chance to get over, and it gives them a chance to be on TV and have something to fight for. Because deep down inside, we know that the Naomis and the Baileys and the Biancas and the Jade Cargills and the Io Skies and the Rhea Ripley's and Becky Lynch, like these are your upper echelon of women talent, right? Like you're gonna have the women's title kind of go up back and forth between you're going to see them kind of go back and forth between all the top stars. So you got to keep that in mind. David also says, how about we call the new women's mid-card championship belts the Intercontinental States Championship? No, I want them to do something entirely new. I would love for them to do something entirely new. Don't do what the men are doing. Do something completely different. Makes them unique. I don't want to see the Intercontinental Championship with a white strap. I don't want to see the US Championship with a white strap. Give us something dope. Give us something dope. Look at what Stardom does. You know, Triple H is recruiting people from Stardom, right? Like, look at what they do. Look how they have, you know, like in pro wrestling. Yeah, I know they all have kind of the similar look for their belts, right? But they're all different, but they're all on par with their brand. You know? So, like, I would take to Stardom for some inspiration. I would take a look at TNA and all these other companies. Like, do something different, bro. Definitely do something different. You're the WWE. You make a shit ton of money. Don't tell me you care about the women on your roster, then be like, all right, here's a championship belt. It's the same shit as the men, but it's white. Like the world championships, okay, that's fine. Because you're talking about the upper echelon, the very highest of the belts. But these mid-card belts, make them unique. You know what I'm saying? Make them unique. Make them unique. There's a lot of things you can do. A lot of things you can do with a mid-card championship. So, women's television belt, you could do that if you want. You know, it's just, there's a lot of ways to go about it. A lot of ways to go about it. And the right way to go about it is come up with something unique and something new. That's how I look at it. And I love the suggestions you guys are making in the chat. Let's see what happens. I'm excited though. I am truly excited. Miguel Vasquez Jr. dropping a $2 super chat says, I would love to see MJF in WWE. You know, it's funny that you posted this because I made a video today on my second channel. Which, you know, it's actually doing pretty well. The reception to it, I will tell you guys, the reception to this video has been incredibly well. But I did a whole fantasy booking video talking about what if MJF joined WWE. Now, I don't think MJF is joining WWE. I think it's all a work. I think MJF and AEW is staying. But the response to this video has been really fun because I did a fantasy booking of 3 different phases, which was basically before MJF joins WWE, MJF then debuting at WWE, and then the final 6 minutes of the video is literally talking about how to book MJF post WWE, which, spoiler alert, well, I'm not even going to spoil it. You guys should watch it. But it's really unique because I talk a little bit more about long-term plans for MJF at WrestleMania 41. Now, keep in mind, I don't expect them to be together. I don't expect MJF to leave AEW. I think he's still with the company. I think it's all been a work. I think he re-signed for a while, but it's a delicate situation. I also have to admit, too, a lot of people saw the video and they were like, yo, they're like, MJF's not going to WWE. Duh. Like, it's literally called What If. You know what I mean? Fantasy booking, my friends. You know? So I definitely recommend that you guys just check it out. I definitely recommend you guys check it out. I feel like especially post WrestleMania post WrestleMania 40, how to debut and like actually book MJF. I feel like that was very well done. It is satisfying, I will say, not to stroke my own ego, but it is really cool seeing people like literally message me and tell me, hey, like WWE should hire you. Like this is good television. People would be very happy with it. Like that's really dope. Somebody even left a comment. They're like, bro, WWE needs to hire your ass. Like you're knocking it out of the park. Like that kind of stuff makes me feel happy because I feel like with wrestling, obviously it's subjective, but to bring in MJF and WWE, you got to be very careful with how you book them. You got to be very careful with how you book somebody from AEW. So Miguel, yeah, I agree. I would love to see MJF in WWE. I think he's going to be in AEW. I also thought that CM Punk and AEW was a work. I thought Cody Rhodes leaving AEW was a work. It wasn't. It was all real. So you never know in this stuff. I've been wrong, I guess, in those areas. So who knows? But yeah, fucking WWE, if they pulled MJF in, that would be amazing. And, you know, here's the reality. There's going to be a lot of people that lose there's going to be a lot of people that leave WWE and go to AEW. There's going to be a lot of people that leave AEW and go to WWE. But the reality is it's actually better that way. It just creates fresh matchups. And I think, like, for me personally as a fan, it's like, dude, there's guys and girls who will go into either company and just kill it. There's going to be people overbooked, underbooked, underutilized, overutilized. We saw Andrade in AEW. They didn't do well with him. You know what I mean? We saw Jade Cargill in AEW, and she was booked wonderfully, but she was never given the world championship. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's a little bit unfortunate. But now Jade Cargill's in the WWE, and she has this massive video package and the massive red carpet laid out for her. They don't need to rush anything. See, like, that's the beauty. If you expect these companies to rush booking, then your impatience, maybe that's where TikTok fucking really cooked society, because people's attention spans are 60 seconds or less. But, you know, this is why I'm super appreciative of you guys. Honest to God, like, I genuinely mean this. Like, we have several hundred people watching between YouTube and X. And, like, you guys spend a Friday night with me, or a Monday night or Tuesday night or whatever it is. You spend your time with me and you watch. Like, the watch times on these streams are so incredible. And it's like, I know when you guys pull up David and Phil and Keith and Vanity and Mike and Xavier and Andy and, like, Chester and all of you guys, like, I'm looking, like, Billy, that kid, like, I see you all, CD, everybody, like, you guys pull up to these streams. And the thing is, like, I appreciate that, because it's very easy for people to twist words. It's very easy for people to be like, oh, well, you said this, and then, like, not watch the video. You know, how many people saw the video of what if MJF joins WWE? There was people who were, like, literally writing in the comments things I said, even though I didn't actually say those things, you know? So when you guys spend your time with me on these nights, I'm gonna be honest with you, like, it means the world. And seeing that the watch time is always so good even makes, like, it makes me even a little bit more happier, because I don't just say things to say things. You know what I mean? I try to be pretty damn calculated with the stuff I'm talking about, because I speak from the heart. Sometimes I'm passionate, right? Sometimes I say some shit and I speak, and I might swear, and I'm not an angry ass dude, but sometimes I swear. And, you know, it's like, it's one of those things I've come to realize just in general. Like, I love the idea of being able to talk about wrestling, and I don't want my words to get twisted, bro. That's how I feel. I don't want my words to get twisted, and it's really easy, and shame on a lot of people who do that. Fuck them all. Because I see a lot of people, they do go out there and they have gotten to a point, unfortunately, where people have, you know, you tweet, hey, I don't like hamburgers, and you got some motherfucker out there being like, oh, bro, what the fuck is wrong with hot dogs? You like hot dogs? You don't like hamburgers, you like hot dogs? But, like, dog, I didn't say anything about hot dogs. What are you talking about? You know, or, oh, bro, if I tweeted out, man, I fucking love Corona with lime, they'd be like, well, why don't you have Heineken? Heineken's better. Like, oh, how do you dare drink Corona? It's like, bro, shut the hell up. Nobody cares. You know what I mean? That's how I look at it. Nobody cares. Like, I don't know, bro. That's why I hate the tribalism bullshit too. But it's fun, because I know you guys spend your time and you guys actually listen to what we talk about. And that's why we have these conversations, and we just, bro, this is cool, man. It's cool to see that you guys love wrestling. I love wrestling. We all love wrestling together. And Miguel, thank you again for your super chat. Shout out to David Decker, because this is actually true. You may swear, but remember, you have the censor. That is true. I do have the mother. Holy. Oh my God, this is so insane. I gotta learn how to censor myself correctly, though, because this shit is fucking easy. I swear. I do have the censor button. I'm gonna try to use it, but you can't be that quick, bro. I can't be like, you know. Yeah, it's fun though. This is cool, man. I appreciate you guys all coming through, and we did an hour tonight. I think we'll call it a night. SmackDown was great. I'll obviously be back for Raw. Don't forget, guys, WrestleMania week will be in 2 weeks. We will go incredibly hard. It is going to be phenomenal. WrestleMania week is always a big deal. We break records. Super chat records get broken every year. Viewership records get broken every year. New subscribers get broken every year. All the records get broken. What will happen this year, I don't know, but I do promise you guys we will have a lot of fun. It's going to be a spectacle. Okay, I don't know. Maybe that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but I appreciate y'all. Thank you all for stopping by. May you all have a wonderful night. God bless. And I will see you guys soon. Peace.